and gentlemen, this contest set for one fall. Yes, for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I am Big Al. That guy right there, so that way, is Professor Keith, as always. And I've always wanted to say this, Keith, on the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, I want to say, live from New York, it's Atillio Aprile.
Yo, how you guys doing? Atillio Aprile back in the Around the Turnbuckle house today, and I am happy to be back. I love talking with you guys. It's always a good time.
Well, we love talking with you, man. Absolutely. And yes, 50 years of Saturday Night Live. Keith, what's your favorite Saturday Night Live? Did you used to watch that when you were a kid, Keith?
I did. I came in with Will Ferrell before he was famous, and that whole cast there.
That was Sandler, Chris Farley, right? Those guys, right?
No. That was after them.
Oh, that was after them. That was early 2000s. Early
yeah,
2000s.
It was like
Molly Shannon.
very late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay, I got you. Anyway, Atillio, it's been a while, but man, you're looking great. By your own admission, pre-show, we talked about it, man. You've dropped over 50 pounds. How you feeling, and what's been going on in your life lately?
I mean, as far as the weight loss thing goes, I feel so much better and a lot lighter, and like I can move around easier. I've been to the training center in Jersey a couple of times since I lost the weight, just to kind of, bump around a bit and kind of move and work with some of the like newer guys. And mobility is just so much easier,
Put the training center over. Which training center is that?
The ECPW training center in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey.
There we go.
Yeah, it's I've just been, feeling just in general health wise, like so much better than I have in a very long time. I went from 289 to 237.
There you go.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just so it just like it's just literally a weight off of my shoulders,
Yeah,
and knees and back and everything else that it weighs you down with, But
so have you been, due to the your health improving, have you been more active in the ring than the last time we talked to you? You were kind of dialing it back a little bit the last time we talked to you, and you were doing more behind the scenes stuff.
I was dialing it back for a little bit, and then throughout the first 8 months, from January to August of 2024, it was, I was just working a lot more bookings. It was just like taking as much as I could, because up to that point, physically, I wasn't going to be able to, and right now can't actually be very active in the ring. My back, which I had a few, minor surgeries on over the last couple of years, finally got to a point where I just couldn't physically do the job anymore. And I know I said previously that if I'm at a show and I can't perform, and if I know that there's people who would be there to see me, I feel like I would be, depriving them of, what they came to see. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the crowd if I did perform and I couldn't perform up to my standard, because then I feel like I'm, taking away from their entertainment.
Sure.
So I, so I ended up picking the time and place to pack it in and get retired and put over the next generation of guys who are coming in.
So important. It's so important to do that. And you know, we need that in the business because I feel like, especially with WWE being the dominant kind of way of doing things, and WWE, at least, I'm not saying now because it's a very different management and regime now, but the prior regime was a little bit more about, oh, let's make sure the performers we like and the performers that have been here and put the time in get to go out on a high note. And it's like, there's some validity to that, but at the same token, the traditional business is go out on your back, because you go out on your back, and the people that really understand and really know that that's what this is about. It doesn't stop with you. It doesn't stop with me. It doesn't stop with anybody. We want this to keep going. Keep the craft going. Keep the business going.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I'm a lucky guy. I sit there and I talk about wrestling when I'm at a wrestling show. I could keel over and die at the commentary table, and not that I'm saying to anybody, please do, but I mean, there is that dark, evil, selfish part of me that's like, man, that'd be a good death. But I'm just saying, like, it's not about any one performer. It's about, how do we keep going? How do we keep this going?
No, of
How do we
course.
get beyond that that's transcendent.
I was getting the minor surgeries and various injections for my back and my spine for as long as I did because I didn't want to let that go. And I feel very blessed that I was supposed to retire March of 2024. And due to various circumstances, I got to go until August of 2024. And it was a great ride. And I feel like I had some of my best matches between 2023 and 2024. And I got to work with some great guys and some really good friends and people who would become very good friends of mine. And, it's just, I just felt very blessed to have been able to do what I did. And of course there's a part of me, like we all have that ego, like, like, of course it would have been cool to say, hey, like I retired as the champion, this and that, which, yes, the belt is back there, but that version of the title was retired the night I was, and the new iteration of the viral belt was presented within that same night. It was something that I wanted specifically to get set up because I wanted a belt that would look very iconic on the person who I was passing the torch to. He has a very kind of 90s, early 2000s grunge type aesthetic. And I, out of pocket, got a belt made that would look iconic on him.
And who was that individual?
That would be JT Metal, who behind the scenes over the years became a very good friend of mine. I have, worked him, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times now over the last couple of years. Kind of semi-regular matches, just to, one, because I always wanted to see how much he's improved. And over the last 3 or so years that he's been working, he has honestly, on a physical level, has come a very long way. And yeah, I had originally wanted to be retired by Buddy Thomas, but during a show, somebody else in the locker room's politicking basically kind of ruined those plans later down the line. Not anything on the part of Buddy Thomas. Professional, he did what the boss told him to do. It was the guy whose match he interfered in, who I really believe politicked into not putting over a guy with more experience than him. So Buddy ran out to cost him the match, and the other guy went over, and it created a situation where at the next show, since we were going to be in that guy's hometown, it had to be the guy that got screwed versus Buddy Thomas. So I went with, and there were only two people that I ever had in mind as far as retiring me. It was Buddy Thomas and JT Metal, because JT and I would been, travel buddies for a while. We'd go to various shows together, Jersey, Hudson Valley, wherever it is. And we developed a very good, brotherly relationship. He very much is like a younger brother to me now. So this was a case of he hadn't gotten the opportunities I think he should have been getting, because up to that point he had been working very hard and he had really been pushing himself, and he was developing more of a mind for storytelling, and the matches he was starting to put together with some other guys he was working were really good matches and fun and gimmicky. And between him and his manager Kurt Klein, it was just, and considering that I have this history with Kurt Klein also, and JT pre-Kurt Klein, when they came together, everything just kind of made sense. And I said, I think JT is the way to go. I want to drop my career and title to him and put him in that spot, is basically what I was thinking, and ultimately had the ability to kind of book myself and make that match happen in that situation.
Wonderful. Because so many people don't get to do that. They don't get to call the shot. They don't get to, be able to have that retirement they want, because, as I always say, I try to say it when I'm on commentary, I try to say it when I'm here, I try to say it anywhere else. The idea that this is all bullshit, that it's fake, that the ring is a trampoline or any other garbage that people fucking believe in. No. You have a bump card. You are in that ring taking bumps in a lot of cases, especially on the indies, in rings that are not safe.
I have to say,
they're not the safest. And
I don't mean to stop you.
No, it's okay.
Correct me.
I've
learning too.
I've worked in many rings, and I have to say, as far as all the rings that I have worked, the ECPW ring is the best one that I have ever actually worked in, which is why so many other promotions in the tri-state area actually rent the ring from Gino Caruso, who, Gino is somebody that I have to, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank, because he more or less let me have the freedom of creativity to kind of call my entire last year in the ring and go out the way that I wanted to, in the way that I wanted to, with the people I wanted to, and the match that I wanted to, with all the various dynamics and moving parts. So, Gino, I don't know if you're watching this. I hope you are. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for me over the last 8 years. And I hope in my time so far, I've been able to kind of give back some of that too.
David G, welcome back, Atillio. Looking good, man. And let's go, Birds. That's right, Motorman.
Thank you so much.
You got it, baby.
But yes, so yes, there are various the dynamics, like you were saying, Keith, that everybody has a bump card, and the condition of the ring definitely can diminish. I did a show once where I was working with Love Jones, and he probably remembers this match. We were doing a show in Pennsylvania. They asked Gino to come up so they can use his license to run the show. So they did the show. Gino brought Love Jones and I down, so we opened the show. We worked a real simple match, easy spot. At one point, I call for Love Jones to give me just a regular backdrop, pick me up and give me a backdrop. I tell him, it's like, look, I'm going to be a little heavy so we can sell the size different. He's like, all right, bro, I got you. So when he picks me up and when I hit that bump, one of the boards in the ring shifted up and caught me in the lower back really bad. And I think that might have been the beginning of the end that would ultimately be my career. Because when that board hit me, I could not. I was so messed up after that. And you never know. You know, each ring is a little bit different. Each company takes care of it to a different degree, you know. And there's so many things. Like one company I worked for, they didn't have an actual canvas in the ring. It was a tarp. So when you have 6 matches ahead of yours and everybody's sweating in that tarp covered, it gets slippery. So it's very easy to slip and make a mistake in that, regard. What didn't help was it was also a small ring. It was a 14 by 14 ring, which is no room to really do much of anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the shows I worked in that ring was a 6-man tag. No room to do anything in that kind of an environment. Where the ECPW ring is a 16, which is big enough to be very portable. It's big enough to do some work, but it's still small enough to be, where you got to be snappy. Right. The training ring at the ECPW training center, I think, is the perfect size for a wrestling ring. It's an 18 by 18. It's big enough so you can really work, but you can be real snappy too. I just think an 18 is the perfect size ring for most if not all wrestling occasions.
Yeah, because I've done some light ring crew with at least one promotion in terms of breakdown, and I don't want to say who that is because I know their ring is not the perfect ring. I've seen rings set up with a more professional crew, and I mean, I think that's so important for independent wrestlers to understand. Like, if you take a booking and the ring looks wrong, or if you go out there and you watch the ring be set up, or you watch the ring be broken down, and something doesn't look right, don't work with that promotion again, because the ring matters so much. Because I cringed when you said about that board, because that shouldn't happen. And even in companies where, again, I've seen a ring that I know from different experienced people saying this is what a ring should look like. The fact that a board popped up at all, let alone hit you, that's not okay. That's a bad
it was
somewhere.
A terrible experience.
Very, very terrible, very bad setup somewhere.
Yeah,
that's why we don't use names when these things happen, because we don't want to bury anybody.
I'm gonna be honest. In general,
when you're that guy, don't be that guy anymore.
In general, I honestly don't remember the name of the company. All I know was Gino called me one day and said, "Hey, you want to do this thing in PA? I need a couple of guys." So, I'm like, "All right, cool. Me and Love got you." So I drove to Ellenville, New York to pick up Love Jones, headed to Jersey. We got Gino. We went to the show in Pennsylvania. And then we did the show, and that was the result of the show. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many both good and bad experiences that I've had throughout the years. And I try to use those stories to try and help teach and educate a lot of the newer guys. I'm really at the point now where I'm spending a lot more time trying to talk with and help progress the newer guys in any way I can, whether it be help them find a theme song, help them work on their character, work on their promos, work on various different things. On days where I physically kind of feel up to it, I try to get down to the ECPW training center so I can work with them a bit, hands on, and then also simultaneously remind myself why I retired, because now I literally am trying to keep up with kids 10 years younger than me, and I can't bump effectively in a consistent level anymore. One of the last things I was teaching a couple of the guys was how to take the inside out bump properly, because I would see them do it and they're landing on their shoulder, they're landing on their backs wrong, or they're almost landing on their heads, or they're spiraling out. And I'm like, guys, like, you're gonna like really hurt yourself if you can't get that rotation. So really the last bumps I took were a few months ago in the training center, and I was teaching them how to get the rotation. Like, I don't take many bumps anymore, but when I was working matches, I would take one really big bump, and that bump would be the inside out bump, because I wanted to sell the size of the people I was working with and the strength of who I was working with.
Can you just step back for a second? So for those that aren't in the business that are watching, can you explain the inside out bump real quick for them?
Watch The Rock clothesline Rikishi.
Okay.
That spin, that flip he does when he takes, that's the inside out bump.
Okay.
Where like he gets hit with a lariat, you turn him, and the commentator says he turned him inside out.
Yes, yeah. So it just kind of got dubbed the inside out bump. If it has another name, I'm not 100% sure if it has.
I think that's what it's called.
Name. I think once Jim Ross calls it something, that's what it's called forever.
So it really was a case where I wanted to make sure that they can do that bump effectively, so that they don't get hurt. And if they pull it out in a match, it really sells their opponent.
So your last match in front of people was March, right?
No, it was August of 2024. So
August.
I was supposed to retire in March, right. And then booking issues and other things just kind of ended up getting in the way. We couldn't quite line things up the way I wanted to do things then. And then I, again, was blessed with the ability to work another handful of months and take some extra bookings. And I did a couple of shows, under a mask. I did like the heel gimmick under a mask. I actually got to work Gino Caruso in a match as the Masked Assassin, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that match. Probably one of my favorite I've done. Real easy, just gimmick and character. And my friend Dan Diaz got his cousin, Mr. Director, down to the show, and he actually managed me in that match, which was great fun.
We had Mr. Director on the show, remember, Professor?
I do. And, thank God for hoods. If you ever get me in the ring, there's probably going to be a hood involved. And nobody needs to see my pasty ass.
All right, so I thought it'd be cool, though. Like, I thought it'd be cool, Atillio, to talk about that last match. Like, not just who you wrestled, but also the emotions when it was over. Because I don't know if you knew at the time that was your last match. Like, you thought March was. Did you know August was for sure? Or
yes,
you weren't sure?
I made the call that August was going to be the last one, because the previous month, so we finally managed after 10 years to get a show in Washingtonville, New York again, which is my hometown. And the week of the Washingtonville show, my back went out on me again, and I couldn't walk for 3 days, and it was just excruciating pain. but I did everything I possibly could to be ring ready for that Friday for the Washingtonville show, because I said there's no way I'm going to not work my hometown. So I did everything I possibly could to get mobile. I was at the chiropractor every day. He was open. Went to the doctors, did the stretches, did everything I had to do, took the medications that they told me to take, and a lot of praying. I very much think that, God was on my side that week. Like, it was a painful, tough week, but when I got to the Washingtonville show, and I had probably the best match I've ever had with Big Bad Blake, who, again, behind the scenes is a very good friend of mine. I love the guy to death. And again, he's another guy who's really developed a great mind for the business and storytelling, and he has improved tremendously in the 3 years that he's been around. But after the match with Blake, I said, the next one has to be the last one, because if my back goes out like that again, I don't think I can bounce back from it.
Yeah.
So I knew that August was gonna be it, and I spoke with Gino and I said, look, I really wish I could physically keep on going, because we had a really good streak going on there. But I said, August in Kingston, it has to be my last one. I can't physically do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very emotional to make that call. Like, when it's time, it's really hard to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
And it was very emotional. I've really only publicly in the ring gotten emotional to the point of tears a couple of times. The first time was when I won the viral title, and that was when I feel like I really got to show my nephew who his uncle is. And I got to celebrate in the ring with both my nephew and my younger brother, which was an emotional, moment. I think I, talked about that a couple episodes ago, or the previous episode that I did with you guys. But so I was in tears that day. It was a very joyful, emotional moment. And the other real time was after I laid down for the retirement and took my boots off and left everything in the ring. It was when it really sunk in, and I tried my best to kind of hold everything inside. And once the thank you chant started, I couldn't hold it anymore. Atillio Aprile, left, and Alexander Aprile came back for like a couple of minutes there. It was very, very emotional. But yes, I did know that August was going to be my last one.
So then after that, between then and now, what have you been up to?
I have been trying to help the newer wrestlers and newer students. I've been trying to help coach JT Metal and try and get higher tier matches out of him, kind of help him produce some of the stuff, because now he is a representative of the company, of the brand. He is a title holder, and he has to commit to that. He has to again carry that belt with the prestige that it deserves, and that I know he can bring to it. I've also been working a lot on my own personal YouTube channel. I've been working on other wrestling production. I am working with Angel Orsini, who was kind of like the last guard, if you will, of the ECW originals in the late 90s, early 2000s era. She was one of the women who revolutionized women's hardcore wrestling and professional wrestling in general.
Yeah.
I've been I'm working with my friend Dan he asked me to work with him and a group of other creatives to do a series, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Help kind of produce the show, play a character in the show, and do a little bit of acting. And and aside from that, a couple friends of mine finally got me to join their Dungeons and Dragons group, so I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons now. So
All right.
which is why I bought this mug, so I can drink with the kind of authentic looking, I don't know, rune covered mug.
I know somebody that's into some Dungeons and Dragons.
So
Some of my Professor, my cousins are all into that, man. Like remember Jason McDevitt there at Walmart? He's had a group
my
of
boss for a minute.
he's had a group of D&D like get-togethers for like the past 30 years.
I was thinking more of Lauren Atillio down our way. I know a promoter person that's
Luring him for what? He can't wrestle.
he can wrestle, but he can do production stuff.
Oh well, yeah.
He always lure another production. Look, I will lure anybody down our way because Al, you and I are stupid lucky in terms of what we've been. No, we are. We're stupid lucky in terms of what we've been able to do in the business. We got in. We got paid immediately. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Because you get hooked up with scumbags and stupid people. It'll be like, oh, you want to do stuff? Cool. Do stuff. I'll pay you whenever.
Hot dog and a handshake.
Right, hot dog and a handshake. If even that.
I've got kind of a story about that too.
Go ahead.
Hey, let's do it. We're talking
story
shop
time.
now. It's the shop
Story
portion.
time with Atillio Aprile.
Yeah,
I got my
it's the
richest
shop
bitch
portion.
crackers.
I'm not going to name any names, and I'm not going to name
don't
the
do that.
company.
Protect the innocent, Atillio.
But so this
Fuck
guy
the old people. We're
hits
probably
me up
protecting them too.
because I was recommended to him for production. So he happened to be doing a fairground show in Middletown, New York, which is about 30 minutes away from me. So I said, okay, look, this is the price I'll quote you to do production at the show. And I quoted him as low as I did because it was like a hop, skip, and a jump away from me. It wasn't too far.
Yeah.
So
we were at that point.
Yeah. So we get everything set up. I film the show. I edit everything in a couple of days for him. And I was, about a month later, he finally pays me the other half of the money he owed. I held his show hostage, ready to be broadcasted until he paid me. And then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'll hit you up again next time I need your service done." So a little time passes, and then he goes, "Okay, look, can I book you to do production again?" So I say, "Yeah, sure. What are the details? What's going on?" He's like, "Okay, we're going to do 3 shows in 2 days in Washington D.C., which is about a 4.5-hour ride for me."
Sure. Yep.
Maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on traffic. So
right.
I said, okay. So you want three shows over 2 days, 4 hours away from me. I'll take some off the top because he was taking care of boarding and food. So he got the boys' rooms, he got the boys' food, he made sure everyone was taken care of. So I said, okay, I need to be able to cover my gas expenses, the equipment expenses, the production costs, and I need to be able to pay the guy who I'm bringing with me to help work the equipment because I needed a camera guy with me. So I quoted him more than a fair price for, better than any other like official production company, or especially if they know how to produce wrestling.
Right, because you're just trying to break even. You're not trying to make a profit, anything like that. It's just a break even, get everybody taken care of kind of thing.
So since the room and board and food was going to be taken care of, I quoted him $900, 2 days, three shows, which I would charge about in general, anywhere between 2 and 5 for one show, depending on where it is, how far the travel, how many guys I need to bring, and
Right.
whether or not they want me to produce the footage and edit everything afterwards. So I quoted him 900 for the 3 shows, 2 days, and he just wouldn't pay it. So I
Wow.
said, okay, look, I'm literally going to be charging you thousands of dollars less than
Yep.
any other production company in general, especially one who knows how to and can produce professional wrestling and knows what it takes to film that properly. So I'm like, if you can't pay, and he says, I can't meet that number. The ticket sales weren't as strong as I thought they would be. And I said, I'm sorry that sucks, but I'm not gonna discount my price anymore because you couldn't produce the sales you wanted to.
Mhm.
It's you will have a crowd. You will have 3 shows back to back produced and edited by me. If I remember correctly, I gave him the option to say, I'll give you all the raw footage and you and your guys can produce this stuff, and I'll take some money off the top. And he still couldn't, say, no, I can't do that. I said, okay, well, I'm sorry, I'm taking you off my schedule then.
Yeah, it's fair.
So
Sounds pretty fair to me. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fair.
Because you can't have, I mean, production is so important. I always say I'm in a supporting role. I do play-by-play commentary, and I produce something which I always ask somebody else to then make sound as good as it can. And the way I approach things is I always approach it with, if I do a good job, everybody else is getting over. And I'll get over if everybody else gets over. And that comes down to production, pure and simple. Because I still have a problem, even at this juncture, because I still consider myself a very lucky rookie. Production is going to make me sound great, or production is going to make me sound terrible. I'm in the hands of my producer.
that's one of the reasons why
Notes, pure and simple.
that's one of the reasons why I try to make it a point to get some of the newer guys on the same page and teach them production too. Because again, I think I've stated it, at one point in the past, that could be your doorway into other companies, into other spots, into other roles, into a full-time career in the business that you love. You can do camera for a guy at a couple of shows, and then his normal guy's back and he's ready to go, and then you kind of have your in. If you have your gear, maybe a guy bangs out of the show. Now maybe you can work kind of an impromptu booking. If the promoter likes what he sees, he'll say, hey, look, I like what I saw. Can you do XYZ? Can you come back and do this? And you get an official booking, and it can take off from there. But if you can do music, cameras, editing, especially editing, if you can bring cameras and film a show and edit the footage, that makes you invaluable. That makes you so desired in the business, because everybody wants professional looking footage.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and teach guys how to do that. The problem is you have a lot of guys and a lot of kids who are like, no, I'm just a wrestler. I'm just a wrestler.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of new guys, and they don't come to the shows. They don't help out. They just come to train, and then we see them really only working in their hometown,
Right.
because that's where they're going to sell tickets. And they're not working or paying their dues there. They're not coming to help do ring crew. They're not helping to set up chairs. They're not putting up guardrails. They're not helping with production. And to some regard, I'd like to pass production off onto some of the newer guys and let them gain experience doing that, because you can learn so much about how wrestling works, and you can learn so much about the business doing those extracurricular roles and doing those, other jobs and positions. I became a better wrestler over the years because I spent 4 years literally frame by frame watching matches while I edit them and put together shows.
This is how you weed out those who want it and those who, are happy to be here, but I'm having a good time with my friends. But there's two different types of wrestlers that Keith and I have come across. Guys that we can see that hunger in their eyes. They want to be on TV. They want to do this for a living. They want to be in AEW or WWE. So they want this. So those are the guys that are gonna get involved in production, gonna tear the ring down, gonna be in the back saying, "Hey, how can I help?" Those are gonna be the guys. But you come across a lot more of those guys that are just kind of they go to training, they learn how to do this. Maybe they take good care of themselves. Maybe they take good care of their bodies. They do everything else. They go through the motions, and then, like you said, get booked in their hometown because they know they can sell tickets there.
Yeah.
If I can name a couple of guys who over the years to me have proved to be real stand up and real serious, and
Because that's a compliment.
up,
You're not
Yeah.
downplaying anybody.
We want those guys.
so
Yeah, I don't want to bury anybody. I want to put over the guys that are worth putting over.
one of the guys, newer guy, I think he's been working about 2 years now, two and a half, something like that now. I think Phil Fusion, who is a fantastic wrestler. He's very good. He's a great heel. He gets a lot of heat from the crowd. And when he was starting and coming up, there were nights where he would go out, work his match, throw on a hoodie, come to help me on production, whether it be run music, run hard cam, or run mobile cam. He would come out and he would do his match. I would see if we can get it set up. He kind of opens in the first, kind of block of the show. One of my guys takes care of one thing and I take care of the rest. Then he comes and helps out. And he did that for a good chunk of his first year wrestling. And he was a huge help, and anything he gets in the business, he more than earned because he's fantastic. And another guy who did the same thing was Corazon. So he's a great lucha guy that we have in ECPW. He's our former light heavyweight champion. And he also, would, go out, work his match, come to help me on production, and either do camera, do music, do something, Another guy, Ziggy Danger. Ziggy is probably over the last couple of years, like this group's like number one guy to me. He's probably like him and Phil, but like Ziggy's a very special friend to me. He's a great guy, and he's fantastic, and he's just hungry. He wants to learn. He wants to do as much as he can. And he's on more than one occasion done double, triple shifts at shows, wrestling, reffing, and, cameras, music, all in the same show. He is such a standout in this group of guys. He really is.
Well, that's awesome, man. So listen, so what does the future hold for you and everything you got going on coming up?
The future for me, I don't really know. There's a lot of other stuff personally in my life going on right now. A lot of big shifting, a lot of big changes going on. Some other kind of health stuff I'm dealing with, stuff with work, and other kinds of crazy stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Right now, my immediate future is I'm gonna be, working on my personal YouTube channel. I'm going to be, doing my shoot job. I'm going to be dealing with recovering and healing. Going to try and help the new guys out as much as I can. It's really I'm just going to be doing my thing. I'm going to be trying to do more of what I love and stuff that makes me happy, instead of just trying to market my personal life around what would make other people happy. Finally
Very
kind
good.
of focus on myself for a little bit at least.
Well, speaking of being love and happy, yesterday was my favorite pay-per-view of the year as far as WWE goes. Did either one of you guys happen to catch it?
I did watch the Royal Rumble yesterday. Really good friend of mine, came over. We all had, me and him had the same idea, and we just made a bunch of chicken in various forms. He made like 4 different kinds of fried chicken, and I made like buffalo chicken dip.
That's awesome.
So by
Love me
the
some
end
buffalo chicken dip.
So by the end of the Rumble, both of us had the itis. We were going into like a food coma by the end of the Rumble. It was great.
Were you surprised by any of the results?
I found myself. I enjoyed the women's Rumble a little bit more than the men's this year. That's partly because we got a good legend return. I was very happy to see Trish Stratus show up. I thought that was really cool. I think Jordan Grace was great.
She's awesome.
As far as the men's Rumble go, the only kind of surprise for me was Joe Hendry. Showing up. I love that WWE is willing to work with other promotions now. I
kind of have a relationship with TNA.
Legitimate promotions.
I love the fact that they allow the competitors now to rep the belts that they have. So we got to see Joe Hendry come out with the TNA World Championship,
absolutely,
on a WWE pay-per-view. But as far as when I was watching the Rumble itself, I'm a big Rey Mysterio fan. He is. I've said it in the past. He's my number 1 favorite wrestler.
Sure.
I knew he wasn't gonna win, obviously, because let's put over the younger talent. But when Jacob Fatu came out and eliminated 4 guys in the span of a second, I checked out. I was mentally, I've seen a little bit of Jacob Fatu, and I feel nothing. Yeah, there's
really.
It's just another case where it seems like they're really pushing too far too fast.
Okay.
Maybe
and that in general.
But if I could say, with everything they have behind the scenes to get him ready for whatever the next level is, so in front of the camera, make him look like the most dominant motherfucker ever, and then work with him behind the scenes to go, okay, we just put you over as the most dominant motherfucker ever. Let's make you worth it now, off camera. Get your ass down to a performance center, figure out what we got to figure out, so when that moment comes that you got to prove it, here we go.
I totally agree with that, but from my observation, they're trying to do another Roman Reigns with him, push him as close to the top as they possibly can, and just like I'm just fearful that they're going to do the same thing, because to me, I couldn't get into Roman Reigns until the last year and a half.
Well, the OTC thing,
because
pretty much after he lost to Cody.
Because Vince had a vision for what Roman Reigns was, and then Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, and because I've been into Roman Reigns before the last year and a half. because Paul Heyman got his claws in, Michael Hayes got his claws in, all these experienced guys got their claws in to say, okay, we want Roman Reigns to be the guy. Let us show you how Roman Reigns can be the guy, because Vince's vision of it was, I just need everything that was the Shield, and then we'll just condense that into Roman Reigns. It's like, no.
That
Doesn't
was
work,
my
because
initial
the
problem.
Shield was a
Reigns.
3-man contingent.
You can see the difference between Vince's visions and Triple H's over the past
so
couple years.
I think Triple H will do a better job with his booking of Jacob
Of everybody, in my opinion. He's
But
doing
I
a
think
job.
so too, because I think Triple H built the resources at the developmental level. So if you've built the resources at that level, and I can only speak to myself as someone who did management and took management very seriously. Oh, I did it in retail, which is not the same thing, I know. But I do look at, if I built something anywhere and I could then turn around and move that forward. If you built NXT, why do you then not want to turn around if you're on the main roster, if you have control of everything? Why do you not want to justify, if you built developmental, why do you not want to justify your developmental build at the main roster? Especially because Charlotte Flair won the goddamn Royal Rumble last night because Triple H fucking built NXT the way he built NXT. Charlotte Flair is only matters because of her name, number one, and number two, because Triple H built her in NXT the way he built her. Because we have a Flair that doesn't matter worth a shit.
I think,
which is David, because David came through WCW that had no goddamn infrastructure whatsoever.
I think
and Charlotte could have gone the same way if she had come through WCW with no cognizant infrastructure. The pencil matters so much in our business.
I think honestly, I really wanted Trish Stratus to go over for the Women's Royal Rumble because I think she would have cleanly put over this generation.
You don't think Charlotte will? And you don't think Charlotte will?
I'm not saying I don't think she will, but we've seen it. We've done that.
We have not seen her versus. No, you're wrong. You're thinking that she's going to take on Rhea Ripley. No, I think she goes out at Trish Stratus. I'm sorry, Tiffany Stratton, and puts her over. And elevates her career. Tiffany Stratton's already on her way up, and she's already champion. But I'm just saying, Charlotte has an opportunity here to put her over. Historically, Charlotte never wins at WrestleMania. You guys look that up.
I agree. I get it, but
Stratton, I have a very big problem because because I know everybody's mad that the Women's Rumble was Charlotte, and I get why they're mad.
All hail the Queen.
Yeah, you're I'm not there, so you don't have
let him talk. Can you let him talk? Can you let our guest talk?
You're marked for her. You don't have a say here.
Yes, I do.
My thing was, when people were mad, I'm trying. Let's see what happens next. If Charlotte goes over Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, you're right. This is bullshit, and Triple H has made a mistake, and now we have to start criticizing Triple H.
It's not going to happen.
The way we criticize Vince. But if Charlotte goes in there, and either Tiffany goes over in a fuck, so that Tiffany can do a program with Charlotte.
That's better.
If we do Charlotte does a clean job to Tiffany, either way, we've got something here.
Right.
We've done the right thing.
If
Yeah.
they take this to
There's
build a
two
story,
possible outcomes that I see.
ahead.
if they take this to build a story, then that's great.
Yes.
If this is just to put Charlotte Flair back on top because she returned, then I have an issue.
Now,
Oh, I
wait,
agree
now, Keith,
100%.
And
Now, Keith,
I'm not
1000%.
I'm not mad that Charlotte Flair went over. As soon as she entered, I said, okay, Charlotte Flair is going to go over.
see,
Right.
I just have this thing where I think it's more meaningful if the previous generation does it for the current generation.
Okay, so switching gears, Keith said there was a lot of people upset about Charlotte. I think there was more people
right.
upset about Jey Uso winning on the internet, even though as over as he is. What are your guys' thought? Well, I want to hear from Attilio.
Okay, so
What is your thought on Jey Uso's?
I'm going to piss people off when I speak.
So this is my mind throughout the men's rumble.
Mhm.
First, portion of it, we got all the quick guys, the lucha stuff, excellent, amazing,
Right.
loved it.
Sure.
Once Jacob Fatu came in, eliminated everybody basically, I mentally checked out.
Okay.
When AJ Styles came back, I got excited again because
There you go.
love AJ Styles.
I love AJ. I'm a
So
mark
I'm
for
back.
AJ.
I'm back. I'm locked in. AJ, Rollins, Cena,
Punk.
Punk, McIntyre. When these, Sheamus, when these guys came in, Strowman, I started checking back in.
Okay.
I thought it would be awesome if AJ ended up going over because I think he could have a great match with Gunther.
Sure.
Now I don't know if they've ever worked each other because I haven't been able to follow as closely.
No, they have not.
I think they would have a fantastic match, and I think that
I agree.
Since the new heavyweight title's not a title that and AJ's held all of them now in the company. Except that one, I think it would have been great if he worked Gunther. Whether he goes over or not at Mania, it was going to be a great match.
Sure.
I think then once AJ was eliminated, I kind of started checking out again. And then when it came down to just Uso and Cena. I could have gone either way. I'm the first person to I love Cena. I respect Cena. I'm not a big fan of Cena.
Okay.
I haven't really been a fan of Cena since he gave up the doctor of
Thugonomics.
That to me was the best John Cena. I loved that original theme. I love that gimmick. Love that persona. I really wish he'd bring it back.
Nice.
But that's not going to happen because John Cena now is a corporate character.
Well, we might see it before he retires. He's retiring this year.
No.
For a one-off, why not, Keith?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so what do you think of Jey Uso winning the Rumble?
I apologize.
I think it's cool.
My editorial early.
I think it's cool. I think that Jey Uso has really come into his own. I think it took him a good while to finally find his voice, who he is.
All right.
His overall in-ring ability, he can do a lot of stuff very well, but he needs to tighten up his matches. I don't like all the super kicks. I don't like.
It's a super kick party, baby.
I think he's a good option if they continue to evolve him as a wrestler instead of a gimmick this time.
Right. Okay.
So I think while he works up toward Mania, if we see Jey Uso the wrestler instead of Jey Uso the Yeetmeister, I think having him go over in the Rumble would have been the better call.
All right, Professor, piss everybody off.
I'm going to piss some people off because... No, I'm going to piss some people off because I am very plugged into the internet and what you guys are saying on the internet, and I got to say, fuck you, smarts. You think you understand the business? And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who was a smart that got into the business, if you're in a locker room that knows what the fuck they're talking about, or anything else, if you go to the locker room, you go to the bar after the locker room, you get a chance to really hang around workers and have somebody tell you you're a worker, you don't know fucking shit. I've seen so many goddamn pissing on Jey Uso,
Yeah.
pissing on Charlotte, pissing on all these results last night. And it's like assholes. It's the story. It's not your work rate or any of your arbitrary fucking metrics.
Well, that's the
Well,
one thing about wrestling fans is you're never going to be able to please them all.
No, and I know that.
But
And-
WWE's doing something right.
And they're going to say what they're going to say. They're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to support who they're going to support. I've worked in front of crowds of smarks, and half of the time they find it fun to boo and cheer the
Or
people that
take over the show.
So
Or try to.
So it's a kind of no-win situation. You just keep running the business and you do what's good for a business. I think in general, everything they did last night at the Rumble was good for business. Whether you agree with the results or not. You got people pissing all over Uso. Guess how many people are watching Uso because they don't like it. If you don't, if you don't like, the fact that Cena didn't win, well, now you're going to tune in to watch him at Elimination Chamber and watch his journey to his last WrestleMania. You aren't happy with, if you aren't happy with Charlotte Flair and you're pissing all over here, these are the same people who want Charlotte Flair to take a piss on them. So either way, you are supporting the business that we all love in not really traditional ways or manners, but how many people are paying attention to Charlotte Flair in that story, Jey Uso in that story, John Cena in that story, Kevin Owens in that story. How many people are paying attention to these stories?
That ladder match was awesome.
That was the match of the night for me. That was excellent. I got a little worried for Kevin Owens at the end there. I didn't know how much of that was selling and how much he was actually kind of banged up.
Yeah. I think a little bit of both.
Here's my challenge to smarks out there. If you're so goddamn smart, because I thought I was pretty goddamn smart. If you're so goddamn smart, why aren't you in business? Because it used to be if you were smart to this business, they would put your ass in. Or maybe you weren't smart to this business. I mean, that's how we have the bloodline now. Because Alpha and Sika were not smart to the business. They just knew that their relative, High Chief Peter Maivia, was in trouble in California. And they got in a battle royal and they started fighting the fans off and fighting everybody else off, fought the workers off. And the workers went back and told High Chief Peter Maivia, smarten them the fuck up because
they're going to kill somebody.
These guys are going to kill somebody. You don't understand this business unless you study this business. I'm an asshole that talks about this business for a living outside of here. Here is fun. I get very mad when people talk about WWE these days because everybody acts like, Vince is still in charge. Vince is still in. You don't know anything if you think Vince is still in charge because if Vince was still in charge, Charlotte Flair goes over at WrestleMania.
None of this would have happened. None of this stuff would be happening.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You would not see the Motor City Machine Guns.
No,
WWE.
Never booked them. Never brought them in.
I
still never put the belts on them night one.
Go ahead, Atillio. You said you've met them.
Yeah, I still can't believe that the Motor City Machine Guns are working for WWE now because
miss you too, Greg.
What's up, Greg? How's it going?
Greg, you
But
gotta come back up.
but yeah, it was one of those things where like I never thought that would ever happen. Like AJ Styles, like I never thought I would see AJ Styles as the WWE champion when he was the WWE champion,
And
because
what a good
he
run
is,
that was.
you know, because like I love their current direction and who they are and aren't willing to work with right now.
They're hotter
I
than ever, man.
I honestly think though they could look at the actual indies a little bit more.
They are.
I think they're gonna.
They have a new show called Evolve coming
I
out in
didn't even
March.
know
In
that.
March,
Okay.
they have
Yeah,
a new show called Evolve coming out in March, and there's 4 indie schools around the country. One's owned by Cody, one's owned by Seth Rollins, one's owned by another guy. I forget. And there's another one up that Triple H's people run up in
yeah.
New Hampshire.
It's all political, but
The
Well,
Royal
then
Rumble was awesome. Yes, I agree.
It should be to a
But what I'm
degree.
saying
But
is this:
I know
we
there's more
we're
out
past
there.
the hour, so I don't want to get into this because
no,
this is a
yeah,
whole nother.
because
Yeah,
This is a whole
it should
nother
go on,
discussion. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that Vince would not have created
Fuck
WWE
no.
ID. No way.
no, absolutely
And so
not.
this Evolve
Yeah,
show is going to
man.
showcase the people who are trying to get into NXT.
Now my only issue with that concept is that it's WWE using their guys' schools almost exclusively.
Exactly.
But that's just because they can control that. That doesn't mean that they won't expand that
No,
It
they
to
would
won't.
be
bigger
great
to bigger
if they
promotions,
did.
bigger
Unless
schools.
you're a
Because-
guy that they can control and be part of.
Because I'm gonna say this now, and this may be like the final big statement. A
No.
lot of the guys, especially the guys specifically who I talked about tonight, in ECPW, should get a chance. They should get a spot. They should get a tryout. They should be looked at. Phil
Sure.
Fusion, Corazon, Ziggy Danger, and I can list a few more guys like Buddy Thomas. He's going to go places. It looks like it's going to take a little longer than it should, but Buddy Thomas should be going big places. WWE, I think, if they were really serious about looking at the indies, they should look at this tri-state area. I genuinely believe that ECPW has some of the best new up-and-coming guys that you'll ever see. Dedicated, hardworking, and they listen, and they just want to improve.
Yep.
It comes down to any one person's vision, and I am trusting in Triple H a lot right now, but any one person's vision of what the business is, including my own, I'm going to throw myself on that too. Any one person's vision of what the business should be, or is, or will be, or whatever the fuck, is limiting, is not good, is stupid by definition, because this business was built on, when it was the most successful, was multiple eyes, multiple promoters saying, I see something. I can work with that guy. Maybe you can't work with that guy. Maybe that guy doesn't work for you. Send him my way. I think I can make something out of him.
One of my big dreams.
The more eyes, the better. And good eyes. Good eyes.
And it's like one of my big dreams, and that's kind of like a maybe a future goal somewhere down the line. I would love to own my own professional wrestling school and company. I would love to be a promoter kind of in my Hudson Valley area. I would love to do that in the future. And
well, you're a young man. That can still happen. Like you're not You don't got one foot in the casket, brother. You could that could still happen. You know what I mean?
So that's
people
kind
have
of
done
something. That's kind of something that I would love to be able to do sometime in the future, and kind of give my own perspective on how I would run a portion of the business.
Well, man,
with it being my own.
you ever need any help promoting it, you let us know.
Oh, for sure, man.
I
For
know
sure.
some people who have done that.
So yeah, so all right, we're gonna get out of here, guys. We're way over, but anyway,
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I can just go on forever.
No, the whole thing's on the professor. I'm blaming the
fault
professor.
too. I'm
All right, so
all of
next
that.
week, guys, is Super Bowl Sunday. Go Birds! There will be no around the turnbuckle that day. My family are all coming down to my house to celebrate the Super Bowl because it is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to see how that goes. But the following week, Professor, on the 16th of February, Sunday the 16th, we'll be back here on Around the Turnbuckle with the Brothers Gray.
Oh, I love
Right,
those.
cool.
Good guys.
In so long.
Excellent, good guys. We got to catch up with them and see where they're going and see what's going on with them. So I can't wait for that. In the meantime,
a notion or two that needs a tag team.
For the Professor and the one and only Atillio Aprile, I'm Big Al. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
You think you know me?